I, 36 female, have a brother, 38, and we have 3 half-siblings from our dad's second marriage, 25 female, 23 male, and 21 male. My brother and I lost our mom as kids. Our dad took a year and told us that was enough time hanging on to the past. He remarried within the year of saying that, so a little under 2 years after the death of our mom. He told us that once people die, they need to be left in the past after a period of time, and you work on filling their role and replacing them as much as you possibly can. The whole thing was gross. He would become extremely frustrated when we did not leave mom in the past. His second wife was also part of this mindset. It worked for her, so she pushed us to do the same. When she was pregnant with my half-sister, she told us it would be unfair for the baby to be born into an ununited family, and that my brother and I had to accept that she was our mom now, and that she had taken her place. Dad was cheering her on with that little talk. My brother and I were never close to our half-siblings. They picked up a lot of their parents' attitude about we should leave mom in the past and let the second wife be the mom. They blamed us because others knew we were not a true nuclear family and instead were a blended family. I never cared. My brother enjoyed seeing Dad and his second wife have egg on their face when they would claim we were her kids, and people knew because of us that she was a stepmother at best, but more like Dad's wife. The second wife died a few months ago. Half-siblings all believed Dad would be widowed for the rest of his life and not remarry because he loved their mom so much. They wanted to talk to him about having one of them live with him or for him to live with half-sister. He told them he was already looking for his replacement wife. Half of my siblings went nuts and tried to involve my brother and me, but this has nothing to do with us. Neither of us talked to Dad in almost 2 decades. We hardly talked to them even. My half-sister decided she wanted a face-to-face to talk about this with me, where she tried to say, as the only 2 girls, and how unfair it was to her mom for her dad to replace her. She told me we needed to get on board and help them with Dad and figure out how to stop him. I told her that was none of our concern, and Dad replaced my mom, so I wouldn't care if he replaced someone I never cared about. She told me I should care, and her mom did an amazing job with my brother and me. I told her she and her brothers are adults and are way older than my brother and I when we lost our mom and Dad remarried, so they can figure this crap out with Dad without us. I also reiterated I would not lend any assistance with this. I was told I was a crappy sister, person, daughter, and that I suck. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. What in the goldfish memory is this? They forgot that their stepdad had already shown that he had no problem remarrying. You're right. Definitely not your circus, not your monkeys. Your half-siblings are now experiencing what you went through. I wonder why they thought your dad would be any different now. Well, because it's their mom. The dad clearly loved their mom more than the first one. Or they're delusional, basically. Some people cannot be alone, and your father seems to fit into that category. Whether or not your father remarries for a 3rd time is his decision. He didn't care what his children felt about remarrying after his first wife died. What makes your half-siblings think that this time will be any different? You're all adults, and it's not a problem that has to be solved, and you told your sister as much. The audacity of the half-siblings to say those things. They can deal with it just like the older siblings did. At least this time, they're adults rather than just children. It could be looked at as it should be easier and more acceptable this time, as they're in their early to late 20s, so they'll either have their own lives or will soon. At least they're not mid-teens at most, given the age difference, who had no choice but to live with it, literally. It amazes me sometimes how utterly oblivious people can be when irony, karma, or whatever else you want to call it, just smacks them in the face like a dead fish. I am baffled that, rather than finally thinking, oh wow, I finally get where OP and brother were coming from, we should probably discuss this, maybe I should apologize, or something along those lines. She instead goes down the path of denial, But it's different in this case, i.e. it's different because the stepfamily is the one affected now. Sorry about this situation. I understand the no contact. It's finally become just about cool enough to have a barbecue where I live. So yesterday evening, my husband and I called most of our friend group to come to our place and join us. That's about 20 adults plus 6 toddlers and babies. My cousin, her husband, and their toddler are out here visiting because he wants to move out of the UK, and he's trying to convince her to move too because they'd have a better quality of life. Full disclosure, our husbands are much, much closer than we are, although I would say that cousin and I are always at least friendly, if not friends. So we invited them to join. Now, yes, in my city, people do take any excuse to get dressed up, especially young expat professionals, which is basically what our whole group consists of. If we go out, my friends and I also get dressed up, but it's a much more casual affair if we just go to each other's homes. They're also lovely at chipping in, so everyone's ready to help wash dishes, plate food, remove rubbish, move furniture back before they leave, etc. So everyone else came in jeans and shorts, summery casual outfits. Cousin turned up in what I can only describe as a full sequined mini dress, her daughter in a tutu, and her husband chinos and a shirt. They looked out of place, but nobody commented on it. I offered her a hoodie and bottoms when it got chilly, but she said no. This morning, my cousin sent me a long, rambly voice note about how I tried to humiliate her by not saying the dress code and how she had to keep pulling her dress down. I did this to alienate her from my friends so she couldn't make any potential connections. She's calling me a manipulative idiot, but my thinking is, it was a barbecue in a garden. Who wears a mini dress to that? Edit. In her voice note, she said, "You should have told me nobody was going to bother dressing up. Everyone knows that city's full of bling. How was I supposed to know that this barbecue was stupid loungewear?" You are not the idiot. If she had to keep pulling her dress down, logic would tell her it was too short. I love how people always blame someone else for not informing them of important information, but never seem to remember that they never asked, LOL. You didn't have to tell anyone how to dress, as it seems common in your area that barbecue equals casual and comfortable dress. If the dress code was such an important issue to her, she should have just asked instead of making assumptions and then just acting on those assumptions. She humiliated herself, LOL. I also think she's making a mountain out of a molehill. I don't think she's alienated and unable to make connections because she showed up overdressed on one occasion. If I saw someone in a mini dress at a barbecue, I would assume they just wanted to dress up, had another event right before or after, or didn't know the dress code for a barbecue. None of those makes me think badly of them. Yeah, I've never decided to dislike someone because they showed up overdressed to one event. She's overthinking this majorly, and it's always better to be overdressed than underdressed. However, I have to say, a tutu is always acceptable, especially for a kid. Tutus are like the jeans and a nice shirt of the kid world. They're just so versatile. I, 22 female, live with my parents at the moment. I have 2 siblings, 33 female, 25 male. My sister got married to her husband, 33, last year. Although I haven't wronged him in any way, he cannot stand me. Literally from the moment we met, he could barely contain his hatred. Don't ask me why. I don't get it either, but I suppose some people just dislike you for no reason. At the start, my parents would ask my sister about his strange behavior towards me, but she insisted he wouldn't mistreat me. Ever since then, the subject matter's not been brought up. By the way, he intentionally excludes me from everything. Gifts, vacations, fancy dinners. He spoils my family, and I never get included. Anyway, I had a couple of job interviews lined up in my sister's town, and she offered me to stay there at their house for a couple of nights instead of traveling back and forth. After spending the first night with them, I went to the shower in the morning. Suddenly, there's a loud banging on the door, and her husband's asked me what I'm doing. I told him I was showering and would be finished soon. He kept banging on the door and yelling that I should get my stuff and leave, that I'm entitled and bratty and show his home no respect. I was pretty shaken and didn't know what to do. He said that I was disgusting and shouldn't be using his bathroom because God knows where I've been. By the way, they have multiple bathrooms, and at first I thought he was mad because I used his one, but he didn't want me to shower in any of the bathrooms. After I left the bathroom, dripping wet and shaken, I threatened to call the police on him because of his threatening behavior. He started yelling even more, and I called my sister crying. She was at work. She came home and managed to calm the situation. However, now she thinks that threatening to call the police on her husband was a step too far. She said I was silly for even thinking he would cause me any harm. Even my parents agree that I shouldn't have done that. I explained multiple times that I genuinely felt scared of him and panicked at that moment. Am I the idiot in this situation? Edit. My parents know he excludes me. They don't care. My sister pretends everything is fine and calls me crazy and sensitive when I tell her how rude he is. Not the idiot. If you genuinely fear for your safety, calling the police is the right move. You were an invited guest, and you weren't doing anything wrong. It sounds like your sister's husband is just a right idiot, though, and he obviously waited till your sister wasn't around. Start recording these incidents and shove them in their faces. Get to the bottom of this. Have you considered the possibility that he's inexplicably rude to you because your sister's told him something about you that would make him resent you? Your sister has the sibling bonds to keep her possible resentment in check. He does not. It would also explain why she's not reacting to his abuse. From what I've read, the simple fact is that he treats you horribly. Your family knows and they don't care. This is dangerous for you. Can you move out and distance yourself? Also, if you do move out, don't give them your address. I would say not to give it to sis or brother-in-law, but I'm sure that if either of them asked your parents, they'd get it from them. Is this a reach? Is it exactly what I was thinking? Your sister's 11 years your senior. She was 11, 12 when you were born. Suddenly she goes from being the prized daughter to the one with expectations on her. Well, maybe she viewed you as the golden baby who stole all of mom and dad's attention. That without you, her life would have been so much better. It could be none of that is true, but it could be a point of view that she could have never voiced around your family, but could ran about to him, turning him against you even before you ever met him. OP, be careful. No happy stories start with what you're describing. I can't believe I have to say this, but not everyone lives near a huge shopping area. I don't even know where the nearest Target is because it's not close. Sometimes your options get really small really quickly with physical shopping. I'm so tired of this. My daughter-in-law is extremely picky about what goes into her home. It must follow all of her rules. It can't be from a company she doesn't support. Basically, there's no plastic, no overstimulating colors, no small pieces, and no large toys since they take up too much space. I have tried time after time to get her something she would like. I've asked for a list, but I never get any. I thought for my granddaughter's birthday, preschooler, a few months ago, I found the perfect wood train set. Apparently not. It was too loud for them to play with. I tried to get her a nice knife set, but she didn't support the company. I don't even know what was wrong with the company. Pioneer Woman knives. It was a decent set, not super high-end. I reached my limit today. I got my granddaughter her own stuff for a Christmas tree in her room. I had permission to do this. We went shopping, and she picked out her own lights and ornaments. I bought what she wanted, and it got set up. Well, she saw the tree and was angry, as there was too much plastic on the tree. They're ornaments. I wasn't buying glass ones the kid could break. I told her I was done. I wasn't getting any gifts for the family because she was impossible. She called me a jerk, and I just need to work harder. My son is mad at me for arguing with his wife. Not the idiot. Stop trying to please someone who can't be pleased. Give your granddaughter a gift card to a store she likes and be done with it. Your son and daughter-in-law are rude and ungrateful and have unrealistic expectations. I would have started to give the same treatment you receive and criticize every gift they give. No gift cards. They're made of plastic. No cash either. It's made from paper and, oh, the poor trees. The daughter-in-law sounds like an ultra-crunchy person who won't trust people no matter what when it comes to material goods. I would guess she won't make a wish list because she doesn't trust anyone to get it exactly right. Yeah, I thought crunchy folk loved wooden train sets. Next time, get daughter-in-law a cubic foot of wood and tell her that her gift is in there. She just has to work hard to find it. Whatever happened to being grateful for anything you receive? The problem with your daughter-in-law is that she's imposing her views and taste on her children. I also dislike bright colors and loud noises, but when one chooses to have children, one must prioritize their happiness over one's own. Many children love bright colors and noise. OP, donate to the plastic-free charity in daughter-in-law's name. That'll put her right in a corner. If she's so against plastic, she can't whine about it. I bet she'll change her tune when she gets this instead of an actual gift. You don't need to try harder. Daughter-in-law needs to try harder, not to be so insufferable. Don't be too hard on your son for taking her side. He has to live with the woman. A friend of mine is a butcher. He gets all kinds of meats, and sometimes less desired ones. Recently, he got a bunch of horse meat, and from experience, he knows that it barely sells, and most of it ends up going bad, so he gives it to me. I feed my dog on a raw diet, so 80% raw meat and 20% vegetables. Sometimes I like being fancy and preparing it in more odd ways. Yesterday morning, I decided to make an omelet filled with horse meat for my dog. While I was waiting for it to cool down, my girlfriend came downstairs, saw the omelets, and complained about how I never make something like that. She grabbed the plate, said she was going to eat it. I told her she really didn't want to, but she insisted. I told her to suit herself. She grabbed it and just took a bite, then realized there was meat inside and spat it out. She got mad and asked me what that was, so I told her it was horse meat for the dog. She called me a jerk for tricking her into eating dog food, and then gave me the silent treatment for the rest of the day. I think I may be the idiot because I didn't tell her that there was horse meat in it, but also, she knew it was for the dog, so she shouldn't have tried eating it anyway. She took the food that wasn't for her, screwed around, and found out. Horse meat won't hurt her. There are many cultures that eat horse meat. In the U.S., we mostly don't, because we consider horses pets and more animals than cows. Not the idiot. Don't steal food that's not yours. Yep, in Paris, 3 butchers are doing only horse meat. In the North, it would be even more common. In the South, you probably wouldn't find a single horse butcher. My family's from the North, so we eat horses maybe twice a month. Note, it tends to become less popular, as so many little girls are now doing horse riding and then consider horse meat as horrific. Info: why do you make omelets for the dog but not for your girlfriend? Why didn't you make an omelet for both of you while you were at it? And her complaining that you never make omelets for her doesn't sound like you make an omelet for her. Also, I told her she doesn't really want to. I told her to suit herself. Why didn't you just say, there's horse meat inside, it's for the dog? You are the idiot for not telling her straight up. If you cook more for your dog, then this isn't much of a relationship anyway, and you should both just call it and break up. You obviously don't care for her that much, so stop dragging it out.